Train to Busan has a lot of similarities with the All of Us Are Dead, and that's best seen in the characters themselves, who are desperately struggling to survive the apocalypse. So much so, that one of the characters in All of Us Are Dead directly corresponds to one of the characters in Train to Busan. 1. Seok-woo and Lee Byung-chan. On the surface, these characters seem completely different. Seok-woo is a hedge fund manager with a high salary compared to the middle-class Byung-chan, who is simply a high school teacher. However, their personalities and stories match up in subtle ways. They are both fathers who care deeply about their loved ones. Their only care, especially at the start of their arcs, is to save their families. Both of them are also responsible, directly or indirectly, for the spread of the zombie virus in Korea. Upon seeing the chaos inflicted by what they have done, they sacrifice themselves so an important character can reach a quarantine camp. 2. Sung Ji-young and Park Hee-soo. They are similar in the situations they find themselves in, but different in character. Where Sung Ji-young wanted a child and is doing her best to protect it, Hee-soo initially does not want hers. However, when the zombie outbreak starts, that's when we see similarities. Both Sung Ji-young and Si-hoo are surprisingly nimble survivors, despite carrying children. They do all they can to save their babies. Although Si-hoo is bitten, unlike Sung Ji-young who survives until the end, they are both successful in their goal of getting their children to safety. 3. Sang-ha and So-ju. These two characters are immediately similar in many ways. Both are stoic professionals who are physically imposing and competent in the face of a zombie attack. Both of them are doing what needs to be done to save their loved ones, barely hesitating to kill, unlike most of the other survivors. They are also not afraid to speak their thoughts to their fellow survivors. Sadly, they are also both willing to sacrifice themselves to save their loved ones. Sacrifices that they had to make in their respective stories, both as they get overwhelmed and see their loved ones run away one last time. 4. Suwon and Se-bin. This is pretty straightforward. They are both little girls who find themselves caught in a real-life Korean horror movie, and had to see their loved ones get infected. They are both protected by the people around them with everything they've got. They represent not just themselves, but all children in the middle of a zombie attack. No matter how aloof they are before, they are still kids. Their reactions are realistic in this scenario, and it also highlights the adult fear of losing your children in a dangerous event. 5. Jung-gook and Lee Cheong-san. Jung-gook and Lee Cheong-san are incredibly brave young men who join the fray in any zombie fight. Their efforts to push the zombie menace away from their group are key to all of their survival. They are also clearly in love with their significant others and use that as motivation to fight. Cheong-san's bittersweet final act is to distract Guinam and the rest of the zombies, going out in a blaze of glory to save his friends. Sadly, Jung-gook doesn't get a happily ever after, with only the bitter bite of his girlfriend as his end. Though they are both similar in the situation, Jung-gook was in a much more dangerous situation with way fewer people to help him and no awareness of what zombies are. 6. Jinhee and Eunjo. They are both frail and young girls caught in the middle of a sudden outbreak of zombies. Thankfully, at least at first, they are flanked and guarded by their closest friends. However, Jinhee meets a much more tragic end than Eunjo. The key difference between Jinhee and Eunjo, despite their similar nature, is that Eunjo gets the time to overcome her fear and becomes a quick-thinking survivor. Jinhee only had a few hours before her unfortunate demise. 7. Ki-chol and School Principal. Ki-chol and the principal of Hyosun High are both the same kind of mundane human evil. They are the evil of ignorance and cowardice. Despite being in positions of authority in their respective places, they make no move to protect the people within it, only themselves. Their reluctance to take charge, except when it suits them, gets them killed by the more ruthless evil humans that they thought they could control. Both characters are a great criticism of obstructive bureaucracy in the middle of an ongoing emergency. There shouldn't be any concerns about the board, or bosses, when people are dying in droves. 8. Yang Second Gui Nam. Where the rest of the characters are trying to survive, these two take it to the most extreme levels. Yang Second Amp. Gui Nam are responsible for the thriller element. They are both cruel and selfish characters who are willing to kill and sacrifice others for their survival. Sadly, in the presence of scared and naive people, their cruelty rewards them several times. However, their cruelty was also their downfall. The negativity they lash out at others is not forgotten by the rest of the cast. That means none of them have any qualms about letting these two characters die. An interesting aspect about their characters, however, is that they are also secretly very vulnerable. In their final moments, despite all they have done, all we see are scared human beings who realized how far they've gone.